Okay, we are on part 4 of this standard, and should be at least pretty comfortable writing equations in slope intercept form. Let's not forget what that is. That is y equals mx plus b, and we are about to wrap this standard up with this last video, so hang in there. Y equals mx plus b. For the last 3 videos, we've been looking for m, we've been looking for b. As soon as we found them, we assembled our equation, and that's what we're doing today, except it's not in a graph, it's not on a table, and it's not with 2 points. It's given us a sentence. And so some people actually think this is easier. You just have to kind of think about the problem with this. So let's say there's a babysitter and she charges or he charges gas money and says, hey, you live like really far from me. I need to fill up my tank. Before I even babysit, before I even like step foot in the house and say hi to your kids, I need 25 bucks from you, okay? And once I'm there, every hour that I babysit your kid, you're gonna have to pay me another 10 bucks, okay? And so I need to take that information and decipher what each of those means, okay? Now, it might be a good idea if you are comfortable with tables to go ahead and create a table of values, but the table of values isn't going to help you if you don't know what the x means and what the y means. Remember, x is always your independent variable. What depends on what? Doesn't the amount of money that you earn depend on the time that you work? So we talked about how time is almost always your independent variable. Okay, it's always the one that's going to be on your x-axis for the most part. And then y is going to be your dependent, because the amount of money you make depends on the amount of time. Okay, side note there. So we're going to say this is my time in hours. So if I don't even work 1 hour, what did I say that this family's got to pay me? 25 bucks. Oh, hey, what do you know? There's that b value. That's it. That's how you just figured that out. And then after I work 1 hour, meaning after my x value increased by 1, I made an additional $10, which means that this y value should increase by 10, which means I am now at a total income of $35 after working 1 hour. Does this mean, looking at 1 comma 35, that I'm making $35 an hour? No, I wish, right? Of this 35, 25 of it was just the gas money. I've only worked 1 hour. So here's my 10 over 1. You guys, I have my M and my B. It's right there, okay? So if I say, what's the slope? Remember, slope, and I want you to write this, is another word for unit rate. And unit rate means how much for 1. How much am I earning for 1 hour? Well, let me give you a big hint right here. See this word per? That's going to be tied to usually your slope. So if it's saying you're making $10 per hour, that is your variable. That's what's changing. So my slope is actually $10. And what does it represent? It represents my hourly wage. It represents for every hour, that's how much more money I'm making, okay? And so then that means, what's the y-intercept? The y-intercept, remember, they use b for a reason, because b stands for what is my beginning value. My income began at 25. And the 25 value represents the gas money that they gave me that I began my shift with. Does that make sense? Okay. And so guess what? I have M, it's 10. I have B, it's 25. I have everything I need except, oh my gosh. Actually, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and write this equation like this, like we're used to. So y equals, here's my B, right? It goes at the end. And then I'm making $10 per hour. So we are going to transition into the fancy world of pre-algebra here. And we're going to stop using x's and y's, and we're going to start to incorporate C for cost and H for hours. And so we're going to replace the y and the x with a C and an H, but you got to do the right one in the right spot. And to do that, I want you to think about it. What makes sense? Does my cost, to their cost, I guess you could say, I've been calling it income, does the cost equal $10 per hour plus 25? Or if I put the H here, is the number of hours I work equal to $10 per times the cost. Like, I can't even say it. It doesn't even make sense. So here's what you're looking at. Cost is equal to the number of hours that you work times however many hours you work, then plus that 25. Here's the other reason, you guys, why I had you do this. Because if you are confused where to put the C and where to put the H, look back up here. What did I say that the X almost always is? It's time. So I'm going to put the H here and the C there, and my brand new equation is not Y equals 10X plus 25 anymore. It's C equals 10H plus 25. And I know that's a little bit different, but that's kind of the new part of this lesson, because now that we have this fancy equation, in all other 3 parts of those videos, we were done. We put the equation and we stopped. But you know what? This is a word problem. And with word problems, there's more to it than that. Because I am going to say, all right, now that you got this fancy new equation, C equals 10H plus 25, what are you going to do with it? Oh, you're going to answer this question. And the question is, well, if she babysits for 5 hours, hey, I see an H there. If she babysits for 5 hours, how much money is she going to make? Well, you have an option. You could go back up here and say 1 and 45 and 2 and 55 and keep adding 10, but that would be such a waste of time when you got this right here. Because if you have this, all it's asking you is, hey, if H equals 5, could you maybe just plug 5 in right there, multiply it by 10, add the 25, and that will be the cost to these people? Hey, yeah, let's try that. So if I were to say that the cost is equal to 10 times the number of hours she works, plus her gas money, can't forget about that. Oh, she worked 5 hours. So that means that she really earned $50 for working, but $25 for gas money. So after a 5-hour shift, this babysitter's leaving with $75. Does that make sense? Okay. And hopefully you understand that this 0.25 means if this is 30 and this is 20, that the y-intercept is going to be right there. And it's going to increase $10 for every hour that she works. You guys, let's do another example. Okay. The water level of a river is starting at 34 feet and it is receding. Receding is a fancy word for going down. Like your pool water in the summer, it evaporates. You might have to fill it up. And it's evaporating at a rate of 1/2 foot per day. Okay, 6 inches a day, this river is losing water. So let's try, I guess we'll do this one with a table. I'll do a vertical table for you this time. So if X and Y, what is it that I'm talking about? I'm talking about feet and I'm talking about day. Okay, and so what did I say usually that the X is? X is usually your time. So we're going to say that this is the number of days. We're going to say that this is the number of feet that the river is. Okay, and so where is the water level at now? I have 2 numbers. I got to figure out what to do with them. I got a 34, I got a 0.5. One of them's my slope, one of them's my y-intercept. Before the water starts receding, what was the level of it? 34, whoops, not 5, 34, boom, there it is, there's my B. I know, I already know, like now I'm gonna have y equals something X plus 35. Why do I keep saying 35? Y equals something X plus 34. So now I know that that's my slope, okay? Because after day 1, the river level is gonna be 33.5, and after day 2, it's gonna be 33 because it continues to go down 1/2 foot. So, but I want you to be careful because the water level is decreasing. So you have to know that I'm going to put a negative 0.5. And I know that because there's my per. It's the pers with that. And it represents how much water is lost each day. Okay. The y-intercept, we already know, we found it earlier, pretty obvious, it's 34. What does it represent? The level of the water in the river before it started receding. Okay, pause the video if you need to catch up. I have everything I need. So I have y equals negative 0.5x plus 3. But if you remember, that's not going to be good enough for my word problems because we got to get fancy. We got to prep for algebra with this year. We have to say, okay, if I use L for the total level of the water in the river and D for the number of days, how could I spice up this equation? Kind of like in English, they ask you, use spicy words, like use words that make your sentences better. Let's make this equation better. What did I say that y is? Y is the number of feet. And I said that the time is your independent variable. So if you have days, you know that the D is going to go in for the X, you guys. So I'm going to say that my water level is equal to negative 0.5 D, and it started at 34. Okay, you know it's a word problem. We're not done. Once you get your equation, you got to use it to answer this question. And so this is saying use your equation to figure out what the water level will be after 3 weeks. Ooh, well, I don't see a D for day, but I see a W for week. So I might have to do a little bit of math on the side here because how many days are in 3 weeks? I don't want to put 3 right there. If I put 3 in for D, that's going to tell me the water level after 3 days. How many days are in 3 weeks? 21. So what we are going to do here is take this and this is going to be the D. So I'm going to say the L is equal to negative 0.5 times 21 plus 34. And you are going to do a little bit of math in your head right here. If I were to take, this is just taking half. If I'm taking half of 20, that's what? Half of 20 is just 10. So half of 21 would be what? 10 and a half. Okay. If I'm doing that right in my head, I did it pretty quickly, so hopefully it's right. And then all I have to do is now I have 34 that I'm gonna subtract because the signs are different. So I'm gonna take 10 away from 34, and that gets me 24. And I still have to take that 0.5 away. So this is gonna be 23.5. And I hope that's right. If not, when I just did some math wrong. Okay, let's take a look at the back part of these notes because it's gonna ask you to do something different.